everyone. Welcome back to the InvestPaul podcast. I am joined today by Tyrone Ross. Tyrone is the CEO of Turnqey Labs and also the CEO of 401 Financial. He's recognized by quite a few publications, including Investment News, wealthmanagement.com, and Investopedia as a top 100 advisor across the U.S. Tyrone, it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this chat.
So, maybe a good starting place. I know Turnqey, I know you are very passionate about crypto. I'm not talking about, the people on Twitter pushing shit coins onto people, but, about how crypto can fold into people's investment management strategy. So, maybe as a first question for you, with the approval of Bitcoin ETFs recently and that essentially legitimizing the space, how do you think wealth managers can start incorporating more crypto into their investment strategy?
Yeah, I want to start off by saying I don't think the Bitcoin ETF legitimized Bitcoin. Not that that's your opinion, but it's the folks that do. I want you to let you know Bitcoin ETF did not legitimize Bitcoin or the crypto space. Maybe in the eyes of boomers, but those of us that have been here 10 plus years, it didn't legitimize Bitcoin at all. Secondly, I want to start off by saying I am in no way and will never in any way endorse a Bitcoin ETF. I think it's nothing but a money grab. And I've been saying this for years, but again, I digress. But to your point, a Bitcoin ETF is the best way for advisors to access crypto for their clients. It is not the best way for clients to access crypto for themselves. You can follow that, right? So it's an easy button for a lot of reasons, especially for wealth managers here in the US, which are dependent upon platforms that they pay a lot of fees to get them access to certain vehicles. So it's really an easy button. I can hit a button, buy for my clients across 50 accounts, 100 accounts, 200 accounts, multiple types of accounts. So in that sense, it is an easy button. I think it's even with the way I feel, I think it's hard to deny how successful the launch has been. I was just reading something that the launch is, equivalent, I think, raised more money than a Twitter IPO within the first couple of days. So not comparable, but just to show the sheer size and success of it. So it has been a success. Wall Street loves money. They will always find a way to make money. They will market it well. They know how to tap into a market. And I think that's what you see here. But I think it in no way, in my opinion, does anything for crypto except number go up. So I think advisors still have to get through compliance and everything else to get there. But I do think it will be more accessible for them to make it accessible to clients.
Yeah, I guess, like the way that I would think about it obviously doesn't, legitimize the space market that's been around for so long, but it helps gain that comfort from my compliance team on allowing this because
Fair.
The SEC is allowing this now.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. But again, to push back there, I think is that legitimizing access, right? Sure. Right. Legitimizing ease of use. Absolutely. Does it legitimize a platform that has been running with 100% uptime since it's been released into the world and transfers trillions of dollars a day? I don't know, but I get it.
I guess, the way that I think about it, like I have had a few wallets in my day to go and buy and sell crypto with. It seems like it's you have to be knowledgeable in the space. And to your point, it's kind of increasing that accessibility where like even if I don't have an advisor, I could just log into my Robinhood account and I don't have to think about opening up a wallet. I can just go buy a Bitcoin ETF and it sits naturally in the exact same account that I have all my other equity holdings in.
Now that is the key. It being able to sit alongside everything else, right? That's a big deal. And that is why I am building the company that I'm building now and the one that I was building previously, because that still eluded wealth managers and most people. All right, I got to go to Coinbase, but it doesn't come back to Schwab or Fidelity. And I got all these different things right? Even though Robinhood now and Public and Cash App, you can buy Bitcoin right inside of those apps and it's right there alongside everything else, right? But to your point, again, at the major platforms where it gave you the ability to now tax reporting, be able to, sell out of it, move into cash, have a money market there, to go back in, like that was one of the major issues. That's what this helps here. And that's a good thing.
So what's your suggestion then if Bitcoin in ETF it's good, it's not the best. Like what is the best? Is it opening up your own, Coinbase account or your own MetaMask wallet and buying a token directly through that?
So I will, there's a separation of church and state here, if you will. I personally am a believer in self custody, holding it yourself, and learning how to do that. But I'm a bad proxy. I've been in crypto 10 years,
Right.
right? I am a financial advisor. I understand the tech. If you're not tech savvy and you don't care about public keys and private keys and all that other stuff, and you just want access to the price appreciation, right, or decrease, then you just buy an ETF. It's that simple, right? And maybe that's a nice gateway for people who get access and then go, it trades Monday through Friday. It stops trading at 4:30 every day, right? At 4 o'clock every day,
Yeah.
and it doesn't trade on the weekends. But Bitcoin is open all the time. Well, maybe I want that. I want to move, my Bitcoin to, you know, on chain and have access to it myself and be able to manipulate it as I see fit. But I do think a lot of that, it depends on the individual. I think for most people watching this and most people in the world, it's probably an ETF. But I think for those that their first experience of it was buying it in the traditional way, I think that makes some sense. And Coinbase is doing a really good job, and others, of making self-custody easier so people really don't have to think about it with an embedded wallet. I log in with my LinkedIn account. I created a wallet, and now I have access to Bitcoin.
Yeah. Right. So as an advisor, and you've been in the space for a while, clients of yours who are interested in crypto exposure, what's the typical deal? Is it like, like alternatives? You could think of like 15% on average you should be allocating towards. Do you take that mentality? Take a different mentality when you're building up a client's account?
So I'm at the point now where folks come to me and already own it, and we try and get them to secure it. One, store it safely. Obviously, their estate planning, making sure they have a digital fiduciary, all these things, and then maybe not own as much. So to kind of diversify away. But for those who do want access, it's small allocations at first, right? You're probably somewhere in the, the 1 to 5% range. But a lot of that is going to, how are they young, right? Do they have a long time horizon? Are they fairly liquid? All their other needs are met, and they want to make it 25% of their portfolio, right? You have the proper risk disclosures. You talk about it, and if that's what they want to do, it's the client's money, right? We let them do it because we're a non-discretion firm. We don't have discretion. So if that's what they want to do, push the button. We'll give you our 2 Satoshis, right? Take it as you see fit. But we're client first, and if the client wants to own 50%, we go through what that looks like. But yeah, as a non-discretion firm, we give our opinion, obviously, on what we think, give them guidance on their holistic life, and if at the end of the day it's their decision, we don't take discretion.
Where do you think the puck's moving towards? Like, I feel like what excites me most about the crypto space is not necessarily like these tokens. It's more the tokenization of assets and, seeing like a stock, well, it's still a stock. It moves on chain and then you can deregulate from like the NASDAQ or the NYSE. And it is truly a free flowing market without these like market participants dictating if you can actually sell a stock or if they put these restrictions in place.
No, I love that. I mean, yeah, what if I can take my Apple off the New York Stock Exchange, right, and put it in a vault,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I think That's where we're going. I mean, Coinbase yesterday released their earnings, and then late last night they made their earnings report available on chain, so you can mint the NFT with their earnings report. Like that's cool.
Oh,
That's where we're
cool.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that type of that's where we're going. You connect your wallet, you can download the NFT. That is next level. So I think that's where we're going with it. Tokenization of assets is a very big market, real world assets, whatever they're calling this week. I think that's a thing. Most exciting, sexiest thing to me? No. But I think that's something that folks see. Here's the thing: crypto needs its iPhone moment, right? And I think we're getting closer to that. No, it
Hmm.
wasn't the ETF, but we're getting closer to our iPhone moment. And then also, before you get your iPhone moment, you have what I call the taste like this phase, right? Like, it's kind of tastes like mayonnaise. Yeah. Right. So you have these things that kind of, oh, yeah, yeah, this is very similar to stocks. Yes. Right. So you want to abstract away a lot of the crypto leads so folks just, yeah, like mustard. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Move on. You
You have no
know?
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So you need a couple of those moments to get there. And I think that's what we're having. And I think, yeah, eventually everything will be on chain. And in this way, if I want to move my relationship from this place to this place, it's just a wallet address.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take me moving a whole thing with paperwork and this, that. I should
And
just take
fees.
my wallet, paste it here. My whole asset history is here and it's done. Right. And I think that's what crypto rails will allow. And it's exciting to think about that.
So, down that pathway, talking more about accessibility, I know you're very passionate about talking about how crypto can help underserved communities. If you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So we don't have enough time, but I'll try. I'll try and condense it. There is a crisis here in the United States of America where we still have areas that are banking deserts. Like literally, there's no bank,
Yeah.
right? And you have in some places like you have as many check cashing places as you have Starbucks, right? We just you guys have it in Canada, but we just got a real-time payment system called Fed Now, where I put my money in the bank now and it settles now. We just got that. And the uptake has been literally non-existent. Why? Because the banks don't want that, right? So they're lobbying, they won't sign up. So the government now is like, do we force them to sign up? But
Right.
we literally just got a real time payment system last year. That is absurd, right? Where countries have literally had it since the 70s and
I,
80s.
I honestly find that as a Canadian so fascinating. Like we have this thing called e-transfer, where it doesn't matter like what bank you're on, I can just send you funds. But I always find it funny talking to Americans where it's like, do you have Cash App or do you have PayPal or like do you have like one of these 10
Yeah,
apps to
you
do?
got it. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't have Cash App. I have Venmo. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, I don't have this app. Like, are you kidding? So yeah, that's where we are. It's like all the money that flows through this country, but it's broken, antiquated architecture that goes back to the 70s, ACH, right?
Yeah.
Automated clearinghouse. Like for that, it's old. These servers turn off. I mean, so anyway, there's plenty of stats and statistics around this, but the lack of a real-time payment system does is hurt who? Those at the bottom rung of the ladder who need their money now. What do you mean, Tyrone? I grew up in a house with no bank account, and my mother would always have to go to the check cashing place to cash her check. The check cashing place took money, which is fairly usurious, but guess what she cared about more than the fee?
Getting paid.
Money now.
Yeah.
I got kids to feed. So if you're going to give me access to my money now, which is the real issue, it's not necessarily the fee. Not having a real-time payment system hurts these folks. Not to mention, it's very expensive to be poor in the United States of America because if let's just say I do have a bank account, right? I think banks last year made $22 billion in overdraft fees from folks that overdraft their accounts. right? Now, that's a lot less than what it used to be, but that is still an egregious number.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is just the fees just to have the account, just to have it open. I say all that to say, if there was just this ledger and technology that allowed people to transfer money anywhere in the world in real time, just like I would send Cameron a photo through the internet and he gets it right now. Imagine if I can send him money the same way for pennies, right? That's what I think Bitcoin brought to the world. And it just shined this light on the inequities of the existing financial system in the United States and go, hey guys, this is kind of stupid,
Right.
right? Like, it's just kind of unfair. So if there's a technology that allows people to bank themselves and have the same services that Jamie Dimon has, I'm all for it. And that's why I root for the technology to exist, because so long as it exists, it will continue to go and just kind of, it's like Chinese water torture. It'll just keep dripping on the existing system until it cracks. And it will find where more of the dead bodies are. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. Not only my history and what I grew up experiencing, but also that there is in the global south and, you know, outside of other areas outside of US borders, this Western view that we have of like, oh, well, I got credit cards and I got this and I got that. Why do I? Well, yeah, okay. But there's also an underclass here in the United States of America that literally, like, we have a term called banking deserts. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
We were just talking before we started recording, right? The Delta, the Mississippi Delta in the South, which is the poorest region of the country, right? And these folks lack access to quality banking. Bank branches closing, leaving places. People are desolate with nowhere to bank themselves. Now I run a business and I need to go deposit money, but the bank is 50 miles away, the nearest bank, right? So anyway, that's my issue with it all. That's why I root for crypto. That's why I root for Bitcoin with a fervor that I believe is unmatched, because I think that's its true purpose. I think that's what it provides to the world, and I will always be an advocate for that.
So, do you think right now the biggest need for these banking deserts is around access, or I'll call it like more on the payment side, less so on the wealth side? So,
Yeah,
you get paid and you have instant access to that capital that you can deploy to pay your bills, etc.
right. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, right? You were talking about tokenization of assets before, right? To me, that's yawn, right? That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Want to know a real cool use case of blockchain? Why in the world? I tell people this all the time. Why is it, and I don't know if this is the same in Canada, but in the US, normally you get paid twice a month.
Right.
Why is that? Why can't I get paid the same day I do the work? Crypto allows that. Why can't I get paid in the hour that I do the work? Crypto allows that. What if I wanted to get paid the minute that I do the work? Crypto allows that, right? So streaming payments, I shouldn't have to get paid every 2 weeks. A lot of life happens in between 2 weeks, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I should be able to get access to that money now if I need to, right? I do a day similar to when we've all done jobs like this growing up or whatever. You cut your neighbor's lawn, they give you the money right there. They don't say, hey, come back in 2 weeks. Thank you for cutting the grass, right? You get the money right there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where we're going to. Like, to me, that's the exciting part of crypto, streaming payments and what that's going to do to uplift communities and people that have access like that. Deposit your money now. It goes into the bank now. You can pay your employees however they see fit. One person may say, hey, I'm good with every 2 weeks. Another person may be a single mother or a single parent that needs that money every day. Fine. You're in streaming payments. You'll get your every day, right? So that's where I think we're going. That's what's exciting. And those are the things that I care about.
So with that, there's obviously the view that Bitcoin is more a digital store of value. It's obviously very expensive to transact, like the fees involved with those transactions. It's on an older network, and then you have like Ethereum, which still has like the gas fees that can eat up in terms of transaction costs. Is there like a certain blockchain that you're focused on that can reach that scalability where it doesn't incur all those transaction costs and can
Yeah.
support such a high
So
volume?
yeah, we definitely don't want to go and leave the go on the crypto reservation here. But yes, so a couple things with that. So gas fees, and even with Bitcoin, right? So a couple things with that. It can get expensive to use both. But the thing with Bitcoin is, right, you don't want to drive an 18 wheeler through the drive through at McDonald's. What do I mean by that? What Bitcoin allows you to do is send massive amounts of money anywhere in the world cheaply. Massive amounts. If I want to send $20 to you, I don't want to use the Bitcoin blockchain,
We can
right?
collect more
I
than that.
can, yeah. I want to send 2 million to Sweden right now as I'm standing in Whole Foods, right? And pay $20, right? Like, or 5 or 3, right? Depending on how things go. So there's something called L2s, right? Layer 2 blockchains. And, we're experimenting with some now, Optimism, Polygon, Solana. There's a bunch, right? Alternate L1s that make it cheaper to send value, right? And Solana is kind of winning the day there right now. But again, there's security issues. There's a lot of different things there. Solana goes down, right? So if I'm counting on Solana's offline. I think last week or 2 weeks ago it was offline for 5 hours, right? So you lose that, right? They call like the blockchain trilemma. Bitcoin just kind of goes. It's just there, right? So if I said to you, and we do this every day, and I always laugh when people bring this up, well, the Bitcoin blockchain is expensive. Okay, well, if would you pay more for something that you know is not going to go down when you are sending value to something else, right? And which is why airlines do it all the time. You need to fly. This is the safest way for you to get from here to there. You're going to pay whatever we put here because you're trusting us that we're going to get you there safely. And the amount of time that you need to be there could be 200 when you look now, could be 300 when you look later. You're going to pay it, right? So it's that same thing because of the inherent reliability. Yeah, you may bicker about it, but it got there, right? So, and that's, to be honest and fair, that's what the existing system does. But it's only accessible to an elite few, right? So we want to open that up. So I think the mixing of both worlds, I think, will make it cheaper, faster, and more secure to do this for everybody.
Right. So keep it focused initially on the payment rails side of things, and then over time we can go down the boring pathway of leveraging crypto and more of the digital asset space where it can help you build long-term
Yeah.
wealth.
Yeah, and you see, Citi put out a report, I think today or yesterday, about tokenization. JP Morgan are doing some things internally, as much as Jamie Dimon comes out and says he
Funny,
hates Bitcoin, right? Like, talk about it.
what did he say? Like, I'm going to fire anyone
Yeah,
if they bought crypto at my company, and here they are.
yeah, right. So, there's some experimenting going on, right? So I think there is some use cases there that will take some time. But for the time being right now, yes, it's a great rail to send value. Could be money, could be anything, right? An NFT of this podcast, right? We could make that available to people. Connect your wallet, you get the podcast right in your wallet. Watch it whenever you want, wherever you want. So any type of value transfer, right? I'm playing this game, but I want to go play this game, but I really like this sword. I hate the fact that I can't bring this sword to this game. Take it with you, right? Now I got a sword and I'm playing GTA, right? Like, whatever. So I think that's what it's going to allow. It allow you to imagine new things in new ways and accessibility that we've never had before, and that's exciting.
The biggest blocker, and I know we've chatted about this before, in my mind, is the giving up of control. Whether it's like the financial institutions giving up control over their payment rails and the fees they can charge,
Yep.
or the government. And I know, like I brought it up to you before we filmed this, was the U.S. has their biggest in your arsenal. The biggest weapon is currency. and
Yep.
the ability to put sanctions in place, the ability to kick, like Russia off the SWIFT network,
Mm-hmm.
where you lose that control if you move to a crypto environment. And I wonder, and part of like, if we bring it back to the original part of this podcast, the SEC has come out and is essentially greenlit crypto, but I wonder at what point does the government try to like put a stop to this because of that lack of control that this introduces into the system.
So very disappointing of how the U.S. government is handling crypto. For no other reason. And it's like, all right, fine. You hate it, great, but provide some clarity so everyone knows what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Regulatory clarity would be great. It comes up often. If do they want to kill it or can they kill it? They could try, but it's still going to run, right? Like it is what it is. There's certain things they can do. They can, yeah, you owe Bitcoin, it's illegal. We could arrest you. Sure, they could do that. Will they? No. What they will do though, will tax the hell out of you, right? They just want to tax it, right? So they keep updating the tax rules every year, right? So at the end of the day, the US government wants and needs money because they're profligate. They have a spending problem. So they go, all right, it's kind of out of control. We need more of the citizens' money so we can smoke it, right? So they'll want to tax it to hell. The other thing is they love surveillance. So we may get a CBDC, a government coin
Mm-hmm.
that you can use dollars and they could transfer your account and they can see what you're doing. That's probably going to be a thing at some point. So they love to surveil, they love to tax, and they love to steal. So they will do that, right? So I think crypto is a great way to be able to do those things. So, I could definitely see them, and they're moving in that direction, but I see them making some headway at some point on that.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. It's kind of like when countries left the gold standard and the
Mhm.
the way they prevented citizens, they forced citizens to sell their gold back to the government, and it became like illegal to transact in it. So this
Mhm.
is I could see the parallel with it on them trying to restrict it because they want to control the currency. But to your point, there you can only fight it so much until you have to join them, and the way they're going to join them is through that
Yeah,
surveillance ability.
yeah. You want to own it? Great. We are going to smoke you. We're going to make it so uncomfortable for you to own it. If you really care about your little digital teddy bear, right? Like, okay, let's see how much.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it's super fascinating to see like where this goes down. I know we chatted before about there's that book I was telling you about, the sovereign individual, that I've started to read, where like 20 years ago they talk about the failure of the nation state because citizens keep moving to low tax areas, and countries are losing the ability to hunt people down. But then there's
Hmm.
also the rise of crypto and how crypto essentially hides people's transactions. So the government, I can't walk into the bank, and when the branch teller asks me, why am I withdrawing my own money, I have to give them an answer. And if they don't like that answer, they could potentially block it.
Right, right. Yeah. I actually, real story. So I have an Apple card, right? And I'd use an Apple card in my Apple Pay all the time. Tap, 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 and go. So I was using my Apple card in Whole Foods, and I may have used it too close together for them. They cut off my access to it. I went over 10 days without access to it, and I just got it back this week because Apple decided that something's fishy going on here, so we're blocking access to it. I couldn't even make payments to it, nothing. They're like, you can't do anything with this.
Oh,
And I'm
really?
like, are you kidding? And they're like, well, yeah, sorry, there's nothing we could do. Now we can escalate it to a manager or someone that you could talk to, but it's going to take 10 days for us to get access to that person, and they couldn't deny it. And I'm like, I use this card every day for my life. I was like, I was in the grocery store. We don't care, right? Like,
I have a
that's
backup in place.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's insane. So it's like, so what is the alternative to that? Good old cash, right? Keep some cash because I can go in and still use cash. And it's the same thing like with crypto, which is the example I always use, right? I could walk up to Cameron on the street. I could hand you $20 and walk away. you wouldn't know my social security number. You wouldn't know how tall I was. You wouldn't know anything about me, who I voted for, anything. I just gave you money. Now, you know I gave you $20. I know I gave you $20. Who else knows? Nobody. But if you go into the store, they know it's $20, but they don't know how you got it. They don't know I gave it to you. They don't, any of that. That's again what Bitcoin allows. I can send value to a farm in Ethiopia right now. No one needs to know that, right? They don't care where it came from. They just, this wallet address, send it to this address. Everyone on the chain goes, yeah, this is cool with us. Stamp it. It happens. So yeah, I think those are real examples of how this works out. But yeah, if a bank decides, and people found out the hard way, if a bank just decides that they don't want to bank you anymore, they'll stop.
Yep.
And then you have access to, like, it's not your money. You gave it to them. You know what I mean? Here's a little account with your name on it.
We had that example, not to get like too political, but in Canada we had that, like, this big protest that went on and people fighting COVID restrictions.
Yep.
And the government didn't like the protesters, so what did they do? They froze people's bank accounts. And it's now coming out that that was illegal. It was an overstep of power. But you have a government who says, we don't agree with you protesting us. We're now freezing all of your accounts, so you can't do anything. You can't go buy groceries. You can't, pay for gas. You can't even drive back home to Alberta, like where you came from, essentially. It's crazy that, like, they can overstep their bounds like that. And I think that is one of the major drawing factors towards crypto, is like keeping governments and keeping these institutions in check, so they can't dictate how you spend your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, that is the greatest value prop for crypto ever. Like, that's just it. And there's no reason to say anything beyond that, right? And when you do that, and until people really understand that, which is why it's always so funny when I see people on Twitter, I know they hate crypto. It's like, they just closed my bank account, or I've been waiting for this money to transfer for whatever, or I sent money overseas and it was like, see, They
make me prove my own point here.
Yeah, exactly. It has no use case. Keep living, as my mother would say. Keep living.
That's funny. Tyrone, maybe we'll park her there. If anyone's interested in finding more about you and following you, where can they find you?
I'm spending a lot of time on LinkedIn these days. So if you put my name in, Tyrone V. Ross Jr., spend some time there. I'm at Twitter at TR401, where I kind of kick the hornet's nest on crypto a little bit. It's kind of where I'm at with it now. But those are the two main places. I'm working on getting a YouTube page set up. But once you go there, you can get the most of what I'm doing. But thank you for having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on again.
Absolutely. Let's do it.